Hi viewers, welcome back to my class on heat transfer. In the previous class, we briefly discussed the various modes of heat transfer and commonly used boundary conditions in heat transfer. Today, let us start an important mode of heat transfer, conduction. In this class, I will explain the derivation of three-dimensional heat conduction equation in Cartesian coordinates. Generally, conduction may be one-dimensional, two-dimensional or three-dimensional. Depends on which direction the temperature is changing. If the temperature change occurs only in one direction, that is only in x direction, and in y direction and z direction, no temperature difference exists, the conduction will be only one-dimensional. If the temperature varies in two directions, heat conduction may be two-dimensional. Or if the temperature vary in all the three directions, the heat transfer will be three-dimensional. And temperature can also vary with respect to time. If the temperature varies with respect to time, the condition will be unsteady state. Now let us consider a general case where the heat is flowing in all the three directions and the temperature is also varying with respect to time. We are considering an element in the heat flow path. So the heat flow is taking place in a material. I am just taking a small element in the heat flow path. So a small element having size dx, dy and dz. This element is taken from the material where the three-dimensional heat flow is taking place. Now the heat conducted at the left end of the element is Qx. Heat is entering to the element and the rate of heat conduction is Qx. And the rate at which heat is flowing out from the other end of the element is Qx plus dx. Similarly, in the y direction, Qy is the rate of heat flow into the element and Qy plus dy is the rate of heat flow from the other end of the element in the y direction. So in z direction, Qz and Qz plus dz are similar quantities. So the heat is flowing in x direction, it is flowing in the y direction, it is flowing in the z direction. If the energy entering or heat flow left end is more than heat flow at the right end, there will be a difference and the heat will be accumulating. The heat energy will be accumulating, that will leads to the rise in temperature. Suppose 10 watts is entering into the element and here only 8 watts is flowing out. There will be a net heat flow into the element, that is 10 minus 8, 2 watts, that is 2 joules per second. Every second 2 joules will be increasing. But that increase may be compensated or balanced by the heat flow in y and z direction. If it's only in x direction it happens, 10 watts is incoming and 8 watts is going out, there will be an increase of 2 watts, that is every second 2 joules will be the heat addition to this element and the temperature will rise. But in this case the heat flow is taking place in all the three directions, so we need to consider all the three directions. Apart from that, we are also assuming a heat source within the element. So we are assuming that heat is generated within the element per unit volume. So in the entire body of this element, heat is assumed to be generated. So we are taking the most general case where heat flow is three-dimensional and heat is generated. We assume that the temperature is changing with respect to time. So even the rate of heat flow will be changing with respect to time. Now let us consider the energy balance. The rate of heat flow into the element per unit time plus heat generated per unit time is equal to change in internal energy per unit time plus work done per unit time. Now net heat flow into the element per unit time. This heat flow you can find out considering the heat flow in the three directions, x direction, y direction, z direction. You can find out the net heat flow into the element per unit time. Now if the heat is generated within the element, that also you can find out. Okay, the rate of heat generation, if you know, multiply the volume, will get a heat generated per unit time. As a result of heat flow in the three directions, heat flow into the element plus heat generated, that will cause a change in internal energy. So this part we will assume that is negligible. This work done per unit time by the element is negligible. So you can take it as 0. The work done per unit time can be taken, it's negligible, it can be taken as 0. And we can equate this net heat flow into the element per unit time plus heat generated per unit time is equal to change in internal energy per unit time. Now first we will calculate each term separately, the net heat flow into the element per unit time. So the net heat flow is as a result of heat flow in three directions. Heat is flowing in x direction, y direction and z direction. Separately you should calculate the net heat flow into the element as a result of heat flow in x direction, y direction and z direction. Then add all the three will give the net heat flow into the element per unit time. Now let us consider the x direction. The net heat flow into the element as a result of heat flow in x direction will be heat flow into the x direction. So much is entering, so much is leaving out. So net heat flow as a result of heat flow in x direction is Qx minus Qx plus dx. Similarly, net heat flow in y direction is going to be Qy minus Qy plus dy. And z direction is Qz minus Qz plus dz. So if you add all the three, you will get net heat flow as a result of heat flow in all the three directions. So that is the first term. So Qx minus Qx plus dx. So this will give the net heat flow, not this. This is net heat flow as a result of heat flow in all the three directions. This is only net heat flow as a result of heat flow in x direction. So Qx minus, what is Qx plus dx? You can write it as Qx, the whatever quantity is at the left hand side of the element, plus rate of change of quantity in the x direction into dx, element size in the x direction. So this is the right hand side. The heat flow can be expressed as the heat flow at the left hand plus what rate it is changing with respect to x direction into dx. So here Qx and Qx plus dx. So this quantity you can write in terms of this incoming quantity. Whatever is incoming plus what rate it is changing in x direction. So that rate at which that quantity is changing in the x direction into distance, that will give the change. So Qx plus that change will give the quantity at the right end. So Qx plus dx is Qx plus rate of change of this with respect to x direction into element length dx. So that will give the net heat flow into the element as a result of heat flow in x direction. Qx cancels, you get minus del by del x of Qx dx. Now what is Qx? Qx is heat conduction, heat conducted into the element at the left face. That you can write it as minus kx ax del t by del x by Fourier law, k dt by dx. But I have used partial derivative because the temperature is changing in x, y and z direction. So it is a three-dimensional heat conduction equation. So the heat conducted at the left end is minus kx ax del t by del x. Kx is thermal conductivity in x direction and x is area normal to the x direction, and del t by del x is temperature gradient in x direction. So minus of minus will become plus. You can write kx, area ax you can write, this is x direction, normal to that x direction, this is the area, this is area, dy dz is area. So the area of that face is dy dz. So ax is dy dz. You can replace it by dy dz. So you get the dy dz. If you take it outside, you get del by del x of kx del t by del x into dx dy dz. I am taking that kx as a variable. In case if the thermal conductivity is changing with respect to direction, and if it's an anisotropic material, then we'll keep the thermal conductivity depends on that x. It's not a constant, we are keeping it inside. So del by del x of kx del t by del x into dx dy dz. Similar quantities you can find out as a result of heat flow in y direction and z direction. So you get in y direction, the net heat flow is del by del y of ky del t by del y dx dy dz. In the similar terms you can calculate this. And also in z direction you will get del by del z of kz del t by del z into dx dy dz. So you can calculate the first term of energy balance equation adding all the three. So this is net heat flow as a result of heat flow in x direction, net heat flow as a result of heat flow in y direction, and net heat flow as a result of heat flow in z direction. Adding all the three, you will get the first term, that is net heat flow into the element as a result of heat flow in all the three directions. So first term is calculated. Let us move on to the next term. Taking that Q as the heat generated per unit volume. So this element is having a size. So if in unit volume, if the energy generated is Q, then the total energy generated, heat energy generated due to the heat source will be per unit volume, whatever quantity is generated, multiplied by volume. Volume of the element, if you multiply with the rate of heat generation, will give the total heat generated within the element. If Q is the heat energy generated per unit volume, per unit time, it is the rate of heat generation. The total energy generated per unit time is Q into volume of the element. Volume is dx dy dz. Now, last term of the equation is change in internal energy per unit time. So, right hand side is change in internal energy per unit time. Change in internal energy you can calculate as mCp into del T by del T. Again, the partial derivative is used because temperature is varying with respect to time and also with respect to spatial coordinate. So, mCp into del T by del T. So, m is mass of the element. You can calculate its volume into density. So, it is rho, it's a density. Volume of the element is dx, dy and dz. Okay. Into Cp value into Cp into del T by del T. So, rho dx, dy, dz, Cp del T by del T. Now, we have got all the terms separately and we are neglecting the last term of the energy balance. Since it is negligible, we get the equation like this. This is net energy flowing into the element as a result of heat flow in all the three directions. The second term is heat generated per unit time within the element. Use the rate of heat generation per unit volume, multiply by volume, you got the rate of heat generation within the element, and this is the rate of change of internal energy of the element. Now you can see that dx, dy, dz is common in all these. So cancelling dx, dy, dz, you get del by del x of kx, del t by del x, plus del by del y of ky, del t by del y, plus del by del z of kz, del t by del z, plus q is equal to rho Cp into del T by del T. So here I assume that thermal conductivity is directional property. It is for an anisotropic material, thermal conductivity is changing with respect to x, y, z direction. It's a directional property. Now, if you assume that thermal conductivity is constant for an isotropic material, the thermal conductivity will not change with respect to directions, and you can take all the three values kx, ky, kz as k. So, assuming that thermal conductivity is constant, which is not changing, generally the variation is very small, so it can be taken as a constant. If you take constant, you can take k outside and you get del square t by del x square. Here k del square t by del y square and k del square t by del z square. So that is written here. Plus q is equal to rho Cp del t by del t. Now, if I divide the entire equation by k, you get k get cancelled in these three terms. Q by k will get it's rho Cp by k del t by del t. So we will get this equation. Rho Cp by k. I'll take the rho Cp into the denominator. You will get k by rho Cp. 1 by k by rho Cp. And k by rho Cp will replace by alpha, which is generally known as thermal diffusivity. So 1 by alpha, where alpha is k by rho Cp. So you are getting the same term here. So I have taken rho Cp to the denominator. K by rho Cp is replaced by alpha, which is a thermal diffusivity of the material. So you get the equation like this: del square t by del x square plus del square t by del y square plus del square t by del z square plus q by k is equal to 1 by alpha into del t by del t. So this is a three-dimensional. Three-dimensional means all the three terms x, y, z. All the temperature is changing with x, y, z. So three-dimensional heat conduction equation with the heat generation. Q is with the heat generation for an isotropic material. It's for an isotropic material. We have taken the k as constant. So it's for an isotropic material, and it is also unsteady state. Unsteady state because temperature variation with respect to time is considered. So you can say this is a unsteady state three-dimensional because this term is existing. Unsteady state three-dimensional heat conduction equation with heat generation for an isotropic material. Now you have taken the alpha as k by rho Cp. So alpha is thermal diffusivity, which is K by rho Cp. K is thermal conductivity and rho Cp is thermal capacity, which is known as thermal capacity. So good thermal conductivity always permits the heat to flow easily through a material. And rho Cp is a thermal capacity. If a higher value of thermal capacity, it will store heat without raising the temperature. Without raising the temperature, it will store heat. So higher the value of thermal capacity, it tries to store heat without raising the temperature. So heat will not be conducted out, heat will be stored within the material. With a minute change in temperature, heat will be stored if a higher thermal capacity exists. So for better thermal diffusivity, you should have a very good conductivity, thermal conductivity, and low value of rho Cp. It should not store the heat. The material should not store the heat. Thermal capacity should be low. It should permit the heat flow without storing the heat. So high value of thermal conductivity and low value of rho Cp will give a high value of alpha, and always the high value of thermal diffusivity indicates the easiness with which the heat is diffusing through a material. The heat will be transmitted through a material. Both are important. Thermal conductivity and rho Cp both are important. Good thermal conductivity and low thermal capacity will give a high value of thermal diffusivity. Now, for steady state heat transfer, we know temperature will not change with respect to time. Each and every point, the temperature will remain steady. Temperature can vary with respect to x, y, z direction, but temperature at a given point will not vary with respect to time. It remains constant. It remains constant at that point. It can change with respect to spatial coordinate. So, for steady state heat transfer, del T by del T is 0. Substituting that, we will get this equation. It is a steady state three-dimensional heat conduction equation with heat generation for an isotropic material. Now, if a heat generation is 0, no heat generation, we will get a steady state three-dimensional heat conduction equation without heat generation for an isotropic material. This is a steady state three-dimensional heat conduction equation for an isotropic material without heat generation, and this is known as Laplace equation. From this you can derive two-dimensional heat conduction equation or one-dimensional heat conduction equation. So generally we treat the material as having constant thermal conductivity. So for a constant thermal conductivity isotropic material, this is going to be the most general equation. You can always use this equation, and from this you can derive all the appropriate equation based on this equation. Thank you for watching.